What's going on, everybody? It's the Hook Cam back again with somewhat of a film breakdown, more of a preview for what I think the Browns season could look like. And really quickly, before I dive into the history of this and the entire video, if you could, it would mean the world to me if you could hit that subscribe button, hit that like button on my channel, the Hook Cam, as well as on Jackson Kruger Sports, for letting me put a lot of my content on his channel. Just hit 30,000 subscribers. Not a small deal, folks. Big deal. We're talking big deal. 30,000 of them. That's a lot of people. Imagine 30,000 people in a room. That's a massive amount of people. Congrats to him. Now, bringing me to the main point of this video. The Cleveland Browns. Last year, they make a blockbuster trade for Odell Beckham. ESPN talks about him to the point of nausea, to the point of people wanting the Browns to fail, right? You have Baker coming off of an outstanding rookie season, going into a sophomore year. Everybody is kind of waiting for them to fail in a sense because of how much media outlets are talking about them. And it's understandable. Nobody likes to hear about a team who hasn't really done a whole lot in the news and have the news talking about them as somebody who's going to be a contender. I think at one point they had the third best odds to win the AFC Championship, which is absolutely unreal for a team who had really done not a whole lot before that. Now you move into this season and you have the firing of Freddie Kitchens and you have the hiring of Kevin Stefanski. And really what I want to talk about in this video is almost like a roadmap for what the Browns can do from here to have a successful 2020 season. And the first things first, I do want to just address in the draft that I do think with that first pick that the Browns are going to make, I believe it's the 10th overall, that they will be picking an offensive tackle. And I think that is the biggest need for them going into next year. They need to shore up this offensive line. They have too much talent. They have too much talent around them to not be successful. And their offensive line, as worrisome as it was, I do think that there's a lot of chance that it will improve. Now, what Kevin Stefanski brings to the Browns, and the first couple of things I look at when I look at an offensive coordinator are, what is he running on third down? Right, because third down, when you think about it, those are your go-to plays. Those are your money plays. Those are the plays that you've practiced all week. We need to be efficient on third down. You're not getting anywhere down the football field if you're not good on third down. And so what I tried to do is I tried to find common film between the two teams, between the Browns and the Vikings. Now, the Browns and Vikings shared two common opponents, the Seahawks and the Broncos. Now, with this Seahawks game, I think it's really interesting because we're going to look at two short yardage situations from this game, and then we're going to see how the Vikings attacked it. Okay, this is the first one. There's a third and short. Tight game at this point, and obviously you need this conversion, right? And now when we think about the play calling between the two, with the Browns, this play is designed to run right into the teeth of this defense. This is just straight up power, okay? This is power. And you're running into the teeth of this thing, and it's actually not blocked up too poorly down at the bottom. I believe that these two are both working down and then up. Really, the penetration comes from this three technique. The Seahawks are in a really simple bear front right here with your 2-3 techs and, of course, your nose tackle. And what happens with this is this defensive tackle gets outstanding push on this guard who's pulling, right? So he's going to pull, and this tackle has to backside hinge. Well, when he goes to step into this gap, he's going to get blown up by this 3 tech. This is a tough thing to do. Right, but notably when you're in this situation, third and short, you can either run your head against a wall or you can be creative with your play calling. And this to me isn't a creative play call. This is a very simple play call. This is a play call that's going to get smoked. Right? Now you see the jet sweep, the motion in the backfield. The defense is just going to cover that up and they're going to bump to it with their safeties and linebackers, right? As we motion across this day, they're going to bump a little bit here, but really it's going to be on this dude who's going to seal the edge of this defense. Okay, so what happens? We run our regular power, right, without a fullback, and we end up getting stuffed. It's a loss of yardage. That was a failure as a down. Okay, now we look at this goal line situation. What do they do from here? Well, the Browns in this situation try to run G, right, and G is another pull in short yardage. So this is a small sample size, but I do think it's indicative of where this play calling was last year. Okay, now with G, they're going to get a down block from this tight end. They're going to get a down block from here, and we're going to pull with our guard and kick out. We're going to lead up with our fullback, and we're going to try and hit that gap right there. It's a great goal line play. I do like this play on the goal line. But at the same time, we just got stuffed. I'm not sure if it was earlier in this drive, but it was earlier in this game, right, where it wasn't a successful down. So once again, what I question why we wouldn't get creative in this situation. Why wouldn't we try and have a little bit of a run action? Why wouldn't we try and do something different? Now, we fast forward to the Vikings playing the Seahawks. right? And we look at the difference in the play calling again. Look at the personnel that we're lining up in. This is a really tight personnel. We're trying to get everybody on the defense just crammed together in a short area, right? But I love the creativity on this because we give a little jet sweep. And it's a lot different than what the Browns were trying to emphasize. And again, I'm not a master on Browns film or Browns play calling, but I didn't see a lot of play calls like this that looked creative and that looked to be somewhat efficient and that really utilized the skill that they had. Right now with this jet sweep, what they're going to do is they're going to leave 93 and they're going to work upfield with these two tight ends. Right? And the whole idea behind this jet sweep is that 93 is never going to be able to get up and make a play on this jet sweep in the time that it takes them to clear that space. Okay? And we work upfield with a guy like Stephon Diggs. Obviously, we can see how this all ties in, just the difference in the play calling. So we fast forward to another example from this game. Another 3rd and short. And this is just, to me, this is something that I didn't see the Browns utilize a lot last year, which is their play action game. And it's something that I think Stefanski is going to do an outstanding job with. Now, with this play action, again, it's 3rd and short, right? We motion this cat across the line of scrimmage, and we push him upfield. He's really just trying to clear out. Okay, we give a quick, the offensive line is blocking downfield this way, not downfield, excuse me, down the line of scrimmage. They're trying to make it look like, inside zone to any backers who are keying guards. Okay, with the running back, we give a false key. He comes out the other way, give a quick run action to him, and he's coming out into the flat. Right? The second option we have into the flat is this tight end who was lined up on the other side of the line of scrimmage. Okay, and you'll see him right here at the top, fullback or tight end. Right? He's going to come downhill right like this, okay, and he's going to pop out into the flat. Then we have a third option into the flat with Kyle Rudolph. Right? And it's really up to Kirk Cousins. Pick your matchup. Not necessarily pick your matchup, but pick where you have space, right? He checks it down to his second option, and they pick up an easy first down. Once again, it's utilizing the full scope of the athletes that you have. And again, we saw a very small sample size with the Browns, but we can just see when comparing the two similar games, we can see the differences in the game plan. That wasn't even a bad game necessarily for the Browns, but it was a situation where they did fail on 3rd down a decent amount that ended up losing them the game. Now, here's another example. Again, the distance is a little bit longer in this situation, but again, I love the creativity with his play calling, right? Empty backfield for the defense to line up against. Obviously, every team's going to have an empty check, so they're going to work into that. Okay, we're going to motion Dalvin Cook in right here. They have 12 personnel. They're going to push across the field with a drag with this cat. They're going to work basically you're working a levels concept where you're putting a backer in a bind in this situation. Now, what I love about this is they motion in Dalvin Cook, bring him into this so it looks like they're going to run a little pick route, and then they wheel him back out, right, in that zig or that whip route. Okay, and it's just an easy completion. There's nobody around him. I just loved everything about that play call. It was creative to me. It created space for their athletes, and it made an easy throw for a cat like Kirk Cousins. Now, moving on to what the Browns like to do in more of a 3rd and long situation with a guy like Freddie Kitchens, okay? What they like to do, and I've seen this a number of times, is they're going to work their isolated receiver, which how can you blame them? It's Odell Beckham or it's Jarvis Landry. It's guys who thrive in one-on-one situations, but the Browns just weren't completing those balls last year. This is against the Seahawks. Right? This is a solid job of getting Odell Beckham open. If they're not going to treat him with respect like that, do this, right? You motion him in short. That's going to bump off this corner. Okay, then they're going to work into a cover 3 look, and then he's just going to stem this thing to the out, but he's not even looking for this ball right now. Right? And we can go on and on about what the Browns did wrong last year, and I don't mean to throw shade, but there was a decent amount of it. You can see with this play right here, they're going to motion in their number 1 receiver to that number 2 spot, right? And then it's going to push off this cornerback, and they're going to take their number 1 and run a nice deep out right here. But again, doesn't get his head around fast enough. He's not catching this ball. They're not converting. And that can a lot of times have an effect on a quarterback, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating for the whole team, not just the quarterback. Let's be honest. When you're not converting 3rd downs, it's irritating for everybody involved. Instead of having a very simplistic way to call their 3rd downs, I think they were a little bit more creative. Now, the other thing that I do think Stefanski is going to help bring to Cleveland is he's really going to help that play action game. And we're going to see an example right here. In this game against the Broncos, again, a common opponent with the Browns. Right, this game against the Broncos, I'm sure if you guys can remember, the Vikings were down big in this game, and they came all the way back to win the football game. Really, really good job from Stefanski going into halftime, making the necessary adjustments and coming out and executing in the second half. Right, and this is something that I don't think we saw a lot from Baker last year, which is this true rollout. Okay, and you get this by having a great wide zone game. And if I went in to break that down, this video would be 30 minutes long, so I'm not going to do that. Okay, but what they're going to do with this is they're selling wide zone or outside zone with every offensive lineman run down the line of scrimmage, elephant's odd parade, as some would call it, right? And then they're going to run this crosser with Kyle Rudolph. We've all seen this. We've all seen it in Madden. We've all seen it in games, everything. It's almost predictable sometimes, right? But when you're playing and you're in the middle of a game and you're getting gashed with wide zone every play, it's not so predictable. But what I just love about this is that you scheme guys open, right? You know that you're killing them with your outside zone. Even if you're not killing them, you've run it so many times that they think it's coming. Okay, and then they run this crosser, and it kind of starts to make sense why Cleveland signed a guy like Austin Hooper. Because now you have two tight ends, and you can run that 12 personnel, right? And you can wham with one tight end, wheel him back out to the flat, run the crosser with your other tight end like they do in that situation. There's just a lot of different things that they can do with a guy like Austin Hooper and a guy like David Njoku if they decide to keep. Now, another situation that I really think the Vikings thrived in was their ability to stretch the field, right? And obviously they have two phenomenal receiving options with Stephon Diggs and with Adam Thielen. I do think Thielen suffered a couple of injuries this year, and so they were having to work shorthanded. But all in all, still, Stefanski did a great job. And again, they build deep ball. They build that off of their run action. So in this situation, once again, what do we see? We see wide zone action, right? Or at least zone action, we should say. We see the ball fake from the quarterback, and then we peel them out. And we stress safeties. Now, obviously, this is a horrible play by this safety. And I don't want to harp on, this is a foolproof play. Yes, it was a bad play by this safety, but still, we're giving the option for this guy to really stretch the field, get deep, and that's exactly where Kirk Cousins goes. And I do think that the Vikings had a decent deep ball game last year, and I think that Stefanski is going to bring that to the Browns. And this time it's going to be with the likes of Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham. Once again, we see the run action, right? Good job from the quarterback getting back out, setting his launch point, getting rid of this thing. But obviously the biggest deal was that we put a safety in a bind and he made the wrong decision. And to me, I just didn't see that from the Browns last year. Here's an example here. This is another third down from the Browns, and this is going to be the last clip of this thing. But you can just see the play calling from the Browns, and this is against the Broncos, and you can see just almost the simplicity behind this call. Right? We have nothing stretching this defense deep. We have a lot of outbreaking routes right at the sticks, right? Yeah, we have a little bit of space to throw here, but at the end of the day, the offensive line just gets smoked. And the last point, and one of the major reasons why I think the Browns are going to be better is because they brought on offensive line coach Bill Callahan, who is an absolute legend in the game. And I mean legend in every sense of the word. I think that he's going to help shore up that offensive line. I think he's going to help pass protection and run blocking. And I think that he's really going to open things up for the Browns next year in terms of what he can bring to that offensive line. I think that matched up with a very talented tackle that they're going to draft this year in the draft. I think it's going to do wonders for them. But again, we're looking at Baker, who has to scramble now and he's working the concept side. Yeah, he's got separation here, but he doesn't have the time to throw it. So again, the major things, the reasons why I think the Browns are going to be a lot better next year than they were this year. I think the coaching change with Stefanski is going to do wonders for him. I think hiring Bill Callahan is going to make this offensive line a different animal next year. And then, of course, I just think that the fact that they're kind of out of the spotlight is going to help a ton. So with all that being said, guys, that's going to wrap up this video. Once again, I'm the Hook Cam. Please like and subscribe to my channel, as well as Jackson Kruger Sports. Just hit 30K. Congrats on that, brother. And with all that being said, guys, that's all I got for you today. Stay safe, stay inside, make sure we're washing those hands, and I will see you next time.